So what's the current popular advice for landing a software engineering job in 2024? Just work harder. Spend your whole day building projects, making open source contributions, grinding lead code, and applying to thousands upon thousands of positions just to hear crickets. All of that advice is wrong. You should stop coding so much. Let me explain. Now, I know most of you won't like it, but the first principle is that social skills matter more than you think. So please get out of your house. I took a look at a few of the CS subreddits, and browsing through them is so depressing. There is so much more to life than the doom and gloom of not landing a software engineering job. Go out, socialize with friends, go on dates, try to have a life. Staying cooped up inside and coding for the whole day is not going to do anything to land you a job. In this economy, cold applying is not the way to go, unless you got some crazy stacked resume with multiple big tech internships. Instead, you should prioritize networking and developing your social skills. If you're still in school, go to all of the networking events. There are so many of them, and it's a great opportunity to meet people who are working on cool stuff. If you're not in school, check out if there are any local coding meetups that you can attend. Who knows, you might meet someone there who is willing to refer you. And in this market, your network is your net worth. People want to hire people they already know, because they can have confidence in them and their skills, which is not the case if you take a random dude off the streets and you hire him. You would be putting your reputation on the line. As such, hit up people from university or high school and see if anyone knows somebody in tech who could give you a referral. Obviously, referrals aren't the end-all be-all, but they're certainly much better than cold applying where your resume gets thrown in the trash before it even reaches human eyes. At the end of the day, social skills will get you much further than coding ability alone. Managers want a team member who can actually communicate, not a code monkey who works alone in his corner. My first manager actually told me that they were hiring specifically for soft skills, because you can teach someone the hard technical skills, but it's much more difficult to teach someone to be a good communicator and a good team player. Of course, that is not to say that you should completely stop coding. Absolutely not. Keep building projects, keep grinding lead code, but you shouldn't necessarily spend your whole day on it. In fact, I would suggest you do a few hours of deep work in the morning or in the evening and then have the rest of your day free. Listen, you do need to work hard. That is mandatory, it's a must. But working hard non-stop for the whole day is going to lead you to burnout faster than you think. And once you do burn out, it's going to take a few months to recover. So it's not a great strategy. And that is why principle number 2 is to prioritize deep work over shallow work. You know how much stuff you can get done with a few hours of focused attention? You would be surprised. Honestly, I can do more work in 3 hours of focus time than in 10 hours of distracted time. Unfortunately, hustle culture tells us that we should be grinding and working every free hour we've got. It works in theory. The issue is that programming is not some kind of manual task that you can do while watching a movie or listening to a podcast. It requires sustained focus and concentration, which is impossible to achieve if you're distracted every 5 minutes by a notification on your phone. I hear you asking already. How can you prioritize deep focused work instead of just counting the number of hours you've worked? Here are some tips. First, go on your phone and disable all of the notifications. Or just put your phone on airplane mode. Even better, throw your phone in another room or give it to a relative for a few hours. Perfect. We've eliminated one distraction, we've got a few more to go. If you've got a gaming console or some other form of entertainment, unplug it and put it in the closet. Just having to plug it back in to play will be enough friction that you'll stay focused on the task at hand. Lastly, for your computer, there are a few apps or extensions you can install. I personally use Cold Turkey, which blocks all distracting websites and applications on my computer. Once you do all of this, there is literally nothing more interesting to do except working, because there is no cheap dopamine floating around that you can access easily. Try to stay focused for an hour or two, depending on your concentration abilities. Then you can take a small break. Go for a walk, go eat, go call a friend or a family member, but try to avoid going on social media and avoid high dopamine activities, which is going to pull you out of that focus mode. Using this routine, you'll be able to get more work done in a few hours than you currently do in a whole day. Obviously, there is a certain limit to the number of hours you can stay in such a focused state. There is no one who can stay concentrated for 12 hours every day on the same task, unless you're Einstein or something. However, there are ways of extending and stretching your concentration abilities. First, practice makes perfect. So keep doing all of that focused work and you'll be able to sustain that focus for longer and longer as you keep practicing. But if you follow this next principle, you'll be able to increase your skills exponentially. And that principle is focusing on your health. Listen, there is absolutely no point in coding for 10+ hour days if you're not focusing on your health. Honestly, just spending an hour a day on your health is going to give you such a positive return on your investment. It's actually crazy. And it's not only a positive return on your physical health, but also your mental health. I'll explain. But first things first, you need to get your sleep in check. The classic rule applies. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And when I say sleep, I mean actual sleep, not the time you spend in bed. I recently got one of these Apple Watches, and the insight you get on your sleep is so interesting. You tend to think that, yeah, I spent 7 hours in bed, I should get around 7 hours of sleep. But then you actually look at the data and you see that you only got 6 hours of sleep out of that 7. So it's not great. Your mileage may vary, but personally, if I don't get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I tend to feel subhuman and just sluggish throughout the day, which is not the way I want to live. Sleeping is also crucial for memory and learning. So tell me, what's the point of spending 10 hours every single day coding if you only sleep for a few hours a night? Nothing gets consolidated during sleep, so you learn absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm wrong. It's not that you actually learn nothing, but your learning definitely gets hampered. So please try to optimize sleep as much as you can. Next tip, get outside and get some sunlight in your eyes. We tend to spend the whole days inside watching computer screens, which is not great for our visions because we need some kind of variability between smaller and bigger depth of views. So when you're inside, you're close to your screen, so it's a small depth of view, but that's why it is so important to get outside, because you can get that larger depth of view, which is great for your vision. If you're already outside, you might as well go for a walk and get some steps in. Unfortunately, coding is a very sedentary activity, so we need to work harder to balance out the negative aspects of our jobs, especially compared to people who work outside the whole day in the sun. In a similar vein, go to the gym. We sit for 8+ hours on very comfortable chairs, which is not too bad, it feels good, but it's not good for our muscles because we stop using them, so they get weaker and weaker. As such, going to the gym is a must to reinforce those muscles. Plus, once you make it a habit, it's actually fun. Going to the gym is one of the parts of my day that I'm most looking forward to. Last but not least, do some cardiovascular activity. There are options for everyone. Running, cycling, swimming, rowing, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Cardio does not only improve your heart, but also your brain. Multiple studies have shown that doing moderate intensity cardiovascular activities will lead to improvements in memory and in concentration abilities. So yeah, instead of spending 10 hours in front of your computer, try to spend an hour or two exercising every single day, and you'll see how much more productive you'll become. And if you want to absolutely max out your learning, get your 8 hours of sleep and do some form of cardio every single day. In conclusion, the hustle and grind mentality is not the way to go, especially not in this economy where who you know is more important than what you know. As such, you should make the most of your time by prioritizing deep work over shallow work and using the remaining hours to go socialize or to go exercise. You will do much better work and you'll also be much happier. I know that times are hard for many of you guys, but if you follow these 3 principles, you'll get where you want to go much faster than you expect. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.